Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Santa Rosa, where we commit to celebrating life, empowering people, caring for one another, and helping to build a better world. I'm Jonathan Choe, and I'm your worship associate for today. Welcome to all those attending via Zoom. Everybody wave. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dad. Yes, my dad likes to zoom into my services. Before we get to our chalice lighting, Zoom attendees, you may want to get your own chalice ready if you have one. If you're new, let me extend a special welcome. Make sure to stop by the welcoming table in the social hall near the front door and ask to receive the weekly news blast so you don't miss out on the many opportunities for connection and spiritual growth that are coming up. So we have a special guest today, Reverend Kevin Allen Mann. Reverend Mann will lead our service today, and he was ordained by the First Unitarian Church of Oakland on October 1st, 2023, the first day of both Filipino American and LGBTQ history months. He serves as a chaplain at Sequoia Hospice, faculty advisor at Star King School for the Ministry, and consultant for partnership with the UU Church of the Philippines. Rev Kev founded the California statewide chapter of DRUUMM, which stands for Diverse Revolutionary UU Multicultural Ministries. A mouthful. And you will hear more about that. And I will also tell you there are acronyms in this service, just to warn you. So just be familiar with your acronyms. And he's hosted quarterly retreats for Black, Indigenous, and people of color, or BIPOC UUs. His ministry is rooted in collective liberation, where none of us is free until all of us are free, as Fannie Lou Hamer said. And now, today, you will hear Rev Kev's call to promote an anti-racist, anti-oppressive, multicultural UU through groups such as DRUUMM. You'll also hear two perspectives from within our congregation about this topic. And after the service, you will have the opportunity to talk among your peers about your own experiences in these matters in two groups, one for our BIPOC congregants and another for white allies to meet after the service. More on that later. Before we proceed with today's service, I just want to remind everyone that next week's service will be the UUA's General Assembly Sunday worship. The actual service will be live streamed at 7 a.m. local time, but if that sounds way too early for you, fear not. There will be a YouTube recording that we'll be showing at our normal 10:30 worship time on our Zoom channel, the same one you Zoom into for this service today. And we will have a watch party here in the sanctuary, including our coffee hour and everything else that we usually have. So come join us here and watch the UUA General Assembly service. It does take a lot of people to have worship on Sundays, and we thank all our volunteers who have done that. And I especially want to thank those today who are manning our welcome table. As I said, if you're a newcomer, you should check out the welcome table, but thank you for all those people who are there for our newcomers. Now, please take a moment to silence your cell phone. And now I invite everyone to take a deep breath and be fully present as we move into worship. Our chalice will be lit today. Let's see here. I'm looking for John Ray if he's here. John may not be here, so our chalice will be lit by Leslie Norinsky. Leslie is a longtime member and has been the president of the board, among many other roles she's had here in our congregation.
Our opening words this morning are "We Answer the Call of Love" by Julia Corbett-Hermeyer, a white community minister at the UU Church of Muncie, Indiana. In the face of hate, we answer the call of love.
In the face of exclusion, we answer the call of inclusion.
In the face of homophobia, we answer the call of LGBTQ rights.
In the face of racism, we answer the call of justice for all races.
In the face of xenophobia, we answer the call of pluralism.
In the face of misogyny, we answer the call for women's rights.
In the face of demagoguery, we answer the call of reason.
In the face of religious intolerance, we answer the call of diversity.
In the face of narrow nationalism, we answer the call of global community.
In the face of bigotry, we answer the call of open-mindedness.
And in the face of despair, we answer the call of hope. As Unitarian Universalists, we answer the call of love, now more than ever. Amen, and welcome to church this morning.
Our hymns today are protest songs. Sally Jones will teach them to you, so please stand in body or spirit as you are able, and we will sing "We Are Not Afraid" by the Peace Poets together. The words will be projected above.
We got a mic? There we go. So I'll sing it once through for you so you can get the tune, and then we'll sing it all together, and the third line will change every time, so watch the slides. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We will sing for liberation, 'cause we know why we were made. Everybody sing, we are not afraid. We are not afraid. We will sing for liberation, 'cause we know why we were made. We are not afraid. We will march. We are not afraid. We will march for liberation, 'cause we know why we were made. We will fight. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We will fight for liberation, 'cause we know why we were made. Rise. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We will rise for liberation, 'cause we know why we were made. We will love. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We will love for liberation, 'cause we know why we were made.
And now it's time for our Time for All Ages with the kids. If all the kids want to come down to meet with Annika.
Go right over here. Good morning, everyone. What's up? So today, my story is about bridges, both literally and physically. Bridges connect us across distances, and metaphorically too. I want you to think, while you hear this story, about some bridges that you... Am I ringing? Hello? Okay. Are we good? Hello? Okay, it's better. While we read this story, I want you to think about some of the bridges and practices and actions that keep you connected to other people in your community. So without further ado, our story. Once upon a time, there were two villages, the Sun Village and the Moon Village, and they were separated by a deep canyon. And for a long time, both villages existed separately, across the canyon, humming happily along in their own lives. They knew that the other was there. They were peaceful with each other, but they never really had cause to interact, so they didn't. Both villages were beautiful, with natural spaces to sit and play and contemplate life's big questions. And the people of each village helped their community when times were hard, cooking food, creating beautiful art and music, playing with the children and making forts, baking cookies, writing heartfelt letters and poetry which they would read before each other at village meetings. Until one day, an earthquake hit the Sun Village and shook everything so badly that it felt like things in their village had turned upside down. Buildings crumbled, streets buckled, and water flooded through some places. The villagers were distraught. Their homes were destroyed. And they did their best to recover the community buildings and the homes and supplies, but soon they could tell that it just wasn't enough. So when the Moon Village heard of the commotion and saw the destruction across the canyon, they felt heartbroken for their neighbors. And they said to each other, "What can we do? We have to help." So the Moon Village knew that they had a lot to offer: much needed support, extra hands to rebuild, supplies, care for the children and elders, and they felt the call to rise up and care. Because a stronger network of care means a stronger community. They had the vision, but they did not have a plan. And it's really hard to come up with ideas when you're scared and urgent. And one precocious child spoke up and said, "Well, why don't we just build a bridge to connect our two villages so we can easily go back and forth and help each other out?" And everyone's like, "Oh my God, that's a marvelous idea. Why didn't we think of that?" And only one of them had ever built a bridge before, and they didn't really know how to talk about it with each other. So they decided, instead of trying to map out the whole plan in the beginning, they were like, let's just build the bridge as we go. Let's build the bridge so that we can get to the other side and continue the work together. And all the people who were hurt were getting cared for by the people of the Sun Village. Sorry, I improv'd a little bit, so I got to scroll down in the story. And as the bridge began to come together, it wasn't very pretty. And there was a lot of arguing amongst each other about how to build the bridge and what was the best way to build the bridge. And every time they found something that didn't work, they would move it around a little bit, see what fit, see how to make it better. That was tough because they had to make sure to move back and try again. And sometimes no one knew exactly what to do next, but over time they started to trust each other and they found a way to learn to build the bridge in a better way. And finally, when the bridge was complete and everyone was able to cross over between both villages, they could share the resources and support. And they found themselves joined together, soaking up all the beautiful differences between the Sun and the Moon villages, sharing new foods, new fabrics, new music, and new ways of seeing the world. They were each so grateful for the gift of witnessing each other's neighbor cultures. And they were grateful to see what values they shared: a deep love and connection for caring for each other in their families and their communities. In time, the Sun Village was completely rebuilt, and their villagers returned home. But they always remained connected by that bridge. And sometimes things went wrong with it. A board would snap, bundles of supplies would fall, and each time they got together to figure out what kind of repair was needed, and they got to work. The bridge lasted generations, and the villagers fondly tell the story of its building. Often they face situations with many possible paths forward and potential pitfalls. And instead of getting stuck in that overwhelm, They think about their bridge and they remind each other, we can do this. Remember that we can build a bridge as we cross it. So I wonder what kind of bridges and connections you have to the people nearby. Do you ever play at a neighborhood play date? Do you go to school together? What kind of connections do you have to people who live far? You go to school with both of them? Oh, Dylan's grown up. Dylan's gone to the next. You all bike to school together, right? Yeah? Nice. Yeah. And I'm sure all of you have connections. I think that's one of my favorite things to do with people when I first meet them is try to find some way that we are connected. Like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? All right. So with that, let's stand up and we will remind everyone who we are. We are Unitarian Universalists, people of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands.
Let us take this moment to acknowledge that our beloved sanctuary stands on the unceded traditional territorial land of the Pomo people in Santa Rosa, past and present. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it through the generations, and we pledge the Pomo this congregation's solidarity. And speaking of that land acknowledgement, we have a justice moment related to that. And here to talk about it is John Mason.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm John Mason. I'm a member of the DWSC. That's an acronym, Dismantling White Supremacy Culture Committee. Land acknowledgements can sometimes become rote statements with little meaning. One can try to give them more context and relevance. Awareness is good. However, a statement only goes so far if it doesn't lead to any action. That's why we're inviting you to an informal meeting called Beyond Land Acknowledgement, Continuing the Conversation. For anyone interested, next Sunday, June 21st, after the service in the boardroom. This follows from the Beyond Land Acknowledgement workshop that we offered last fall and our 2 visits to American Indian museums in the Santa Rosa area this spring, including a fascinating conversation with Professor Avery Old Coyote of the Ethnic Studies Department at Santa Rosa Junior College. All these events have been very well attended by UUCSR members. It seems there's clearly a lot of interest. So now what? Join us next week for a conversation about next steps, what we have learned so far. Is our current land acknowledgement adequate, or should we need to revisit it? What does it mean to go beyond land acknowledgement? Can we learn from things like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Canada, or ongoing efforts in this country to restore ancestral lands to the tribes? From a practical point of view, how might we become better allies to the Native peoples in our own community? So if you're interested in any of this and getting more involved, come to our meeting next Sunday, June 21st, in the boardroom after the service to listen and share. And light refreshments will be provided. And if you can't be there in person, there will be a Zoom link, which will be in next week's news blast. So we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So when I started attending UUCSR in 2017, I was looking for a community of people who shared my values. I wasn't expecting them to look like me. Having lived in Santa Rosa already for over 15 years by that point, I knew the racial demographics in our area. I also grew up for 10 plus years in a small college town in West Virginia, where my siblings and I were the only Asian kids in our school. So seeing a sea of white people at my first service wasn't terribly surprising or bothersome to me. Honestly, my racial identity hasn't always been in the forefront of my mind as I navigate the white dominant culture of our society. And I will acknowledge that as a straight cis male, I am in the dominant culture and other aspects of my identity. From the beginning, I felt pretty comfortable coming to our congregation. It felt like an inclusive environment. The charisma of Rev. Chris drew me in, and the 7 principles, at that time we had principles, that UUs espoused helped me feel a shared worldview of my fellow congregants. But because we were one of only a few people of color, I felt we caught the attention of other congregants more than other white newcomers. I still remember when my kids and I volunteered for the Saturday morning breakfast for a few years. Someone decided to take a picture of Katie and then blow it up and make it into a gigantic poster, which was displayed for months. I was curious why there were no other pictures of other kids or volunteers. Still, I appreciated that our small BIPOC community had a strong presence at UUCSR, leading from the pulpit, on the board, and in our community outreach programs. And I also noted openness among our white congregants to question the white dominant cultures and systemic racism baked into our society. In short, I was fine with how things were. When the last ministerial search committee asked the BIPOC members of the congregation to join them for a focus group, I didn't think much of it. But when I showed up, I realized that that was the first time I'd ever been in the same room with almost all the other BIPOC members of our congregation. And yes, we met in the green rooms. That tells you how many of us there were. Yes, I knew many of them, but we really hadn't talked together. I credit Leslie Norinsky for recognizing that there was some warm and special energy percolating in that first conversation. And she sent out a message to everyone who had attended that focus group asking if we all wanted to have dinner. The idea of dinner with just people of color felt a little strange at first. Wasn't the civil rights movement all about ending segregation? My daughter actually joked that our dinner was the reverse discrimination group. But I was curious to know some of these people better. At our first BIPOC dinner, the first thing that became apparent was how varied all our backgrounds were, from the rural South to first-generation immigrants to having multiple heritages in a biracial family. We spent much of our dinner and the series of dinners after that just getting to know each other's unique stories. But the part that we all shared was a common understanding that our stories include experiences and perspectives outside of the white dominant culture that we live in every day. These experiences have, at times, made us feel ostracized and apart. We have all felt the sting of microaggressions and stereotypes. Some of us have felt flat-out hatred and bigotry. But these experiences also give us pride in our uniqueness and celebrate the heritage and culture that we can claim as our own. Talking in a group of people who have that common connection, I have felt a freedom to share authentically about sensitive topics without worrying about causing offense or making someone feel bad. I shared my experience without having to explain or justify, and have felt an acceptance from our group that comes from having a shared reality of living as a person of color in white dominant culture. Our dinners have become a regular thing, and thanks to Rev Spears' husband David, we even now have a nickname, the Potluck Group. This group has filled a yearning that I didn't even know I had before, a yearning for connection to my own racial and ethnic identity that I've neglected for much of my life, and a connection to others who can identify and understand my perspective as a person of color. Seeing the sea of white faces nearly 10 years ago, I never expected to find this here. That is a credit to this congregation, which has fostered the formation of groups like Potluck and Queer UU, who you heard from just a few weeks ago. These circles, I believe, are what bring this congregation from a place of inclusion to a community of belonging. And for that, I am grateful and proud to be part of the UU community. This congregation is fully self-supporting. We sustain it through our time, talent, and treasure as members and friends. Regular faithful pledging helps us budget, while the Sunday offering gives us an opportunity to practice generosity as a sacred act. Most weeks, we share our donation basket with a community group that needs our support. Today, we will be sharing the basket with DRUUMM, which, as was mentioned before, is Diverse and Revolutionary UU Multicultural Ministries. Here to speak about it is Rev Kev.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for your words of courage and vulnerability and truth-telling, and I appreciate that spirit. And this is DRUUMM. DRUUMM is Diverse, Revolutionary, Unitarian Universalist, Multicultural Ministries. You'll hear in this sermon, it's been around since 1997, and after I was ordained at First Unitarian Oakland, we started DRUUMM California, which is the first regional and statewide affiliate of DRUUMM. Our first gathering in April 2023 had 43 people of color UUs come to First UU Oakland for a 2-hour event on a Tuesday. That was April 2023. Since then, we've had 13 quarterly retreats rotating around the Bay Area and the state. This was our Davis Winter Retreat. We had over 55 people of color Unitarian Universalists from all over the state of California come to Davis for our winter quarterly retreat. This Saturday is General Assembly, and so the UUs from all across the world are meeting in different satellite locations. And so this Saturday at the Mount Diablo UU Church, June 20th, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., we'll be meeting in person as people of color. And I'll read you the vision of DRUUMM California is to uplift, amplify, and center Black, Indigenous, people of color, Unitarian Universalists by building a regional network across California's 3 main areas, the Bay Area, Central Valley, and Southern California. This is our first Monday in gathering. Every first Monday of the month, join other UUs of color from all across the state for an hour-and-a-half in gathering. In particular, you'll meet UUs from Oakland, BIPOC folks from San Francisco, from Walnut Creek, from Long Beach, where we have some of the strongest people of color groups in our churches. And we're leading the way across the UUA. Because of our efforts in California, DRUUMM Atlanta has started, DRUUMM Chicago has started, DRUUMM affiliate groups across has started. So your generosity today will continue to support the amazing work of DRUUMM California. Thank you. And I think the next slide is a QR code, I believe. So feel free to join Generosity Ask by joining this QR code. It takes you to the druumm.org donation site. And under donation type, you can click DRUUMM California to make sure that donation gets to us. Or you can contribute the normal ways, but we also wanted to give you our DRUUMM California QR code as well. Thank you so much for your generosity today.
Please be as generous as you can, and if you are joining us online, please look in the chat box or use our website to find the Give Now link or use the QR code just shown. Would the ushers and candle lighting assistants please come forward? During the offering, you may light a candle or mark a personal milestone or joy or sorrow if you would like, but please wait until the ushers have passed your row to get up. You're also welcome to light a candle during the prelude every week as well.
Please join me in dedicating these offerings. The words will be projected here. To the work of creating beloved community within and beyond our walls, we dedicate these, our offerings, and ourselves.
And now Barb Kezur will have the milestones for us.
Good morning. It's nice to see so many of you here this morning. So if you have a joy or a sorrow and you want to share it with the congregation, many of you know this, but if you're new, you may not. This book sits outside the sanctuary on a pedestal, and please feel free to write in it for something that you might want to share. And sometimes, if you're coming at the last moment, you can just bring your milestone with you and we will paste it into the book. Or if you're unable to attend services, you can email it to us and we will put it in the book the next morning. Email us by 7 p.m. on Saturday. We lay chaplains are available to talk. If you need a listening ear, you can email us at the same address and we will set up a time to connect with you, and I will be around in the foyer after the service wearing my white stole. So here are today and last week's milestones, because we didn't have them last week. Donna Watson writes, I became another great aunt on May 24th. A baby boy was born to Lauren and Ariel, my niece, in Austin, Texas. His name is Per Oliver Watson Steinwood. I'm excited for all of my family. Yay, new baby. Maria Pritzelis is excited to announce that her daughter Diana graduated from Santa Rosa High School this weekend. Diana managed to graduate a year early, summa cum laude. Diana will go to the Santa Rosa Junior College in the fall with the goal of transferring to a UC college in 2 years. We're super proud of her. And last week, I was meant to read that Mary Wagner was in the hospital, but lo and behold, she's out and she's here today, so we're really pleased about that. And last Monday, Noah had successful, albeit more complicated than planned, surgery. Still hard to walk, but we're hoping for improvement soon, from David Reitzel. And if you could hold all these people in your heart. Thank you.
Our prayer this morning, UU Congregation of Santa Rosa, comes from the Polish Brethren. I was recently back from a 10-day life-changing pilgrimage to the earliest ancestors of the Unitarians, known as the Polish Brethren. Dear Polish Brethren ancestors, we bless you by many names. We bless you as Socinians, which most in Europe would have known you as Socinians from the prominent Italian theologian Faustus Socinius, who carried early Unitarian radical thinking into 1570 Poland. We bless you as the Minor Reformed Church, which you were known in Poland, a self-designation to distinguish you from the Major Reformed or Calvinist Church in Poland. We bless you as Rakowians, named after Raków, the intellectual and spiritual center of Unitarianism in 1600 Europe. Rakowia, with your illustrious academy and your printing press that produced the Rakowian Catechism, you were a town founded by Unitarians and flourished from 1569 to 1658 in Raków, a few miles from Krakow in Poland. At its height, Rakowia had 17,000 Unitarians from all over Europe, bringing the most radical theological, spiritual influences at that time. We bless you as anti-Trinitarians. What you were known as before you were Unitarian, you were known as anti-Trinitarians because you had to articulate what you were against before being able to form your affirmation of the unity of God. You also emphasized adult baptism because you valued the freedom of individuals to choose their own faith as a living tradition. You also carried wooden swords because you were pacifists and wanted to show that. And when landlords would become Unitarian, you would recognize all people as equal and you would free your serfs. You would have freed the people that tilled your soil because your faith of equality demanded you so. The golden age of the Polish Brethren ended in 1658 during the Counter-Reformation, when the enemies of the Polish Brethren convinced the Polish state and the Catholic Church to expel all Unitarians from Poland at the risk of death or conversion. And somehow the Rakovian Catechism and the ideals of liberal religion was smuggled in barrels across horseback from Poland into Transylvania, from Poland into Amsterdam. In Transylvania, we now have 60,000 Unitarians in 125 churches. Somehow, those secret barrels on horseback with our ancient scriptures got to Amsterdam, where there also was another printing press. From Amsterdam, the ideas of Unitarianism spread to England and found its way to the United States of America. Thomas Jefferson himself had a copy of the Rakovian Catechism, which was outlawed and banned in most of Europe at that time. I am a queer, Filipino-American, ordained Unitarian Universalist minister because of the earliest influences of the Polish Brethren. Because they knew what they had to do in hard times. They knew what they had to do when it felt impossible, when you could be burned at the stake for your faith. They knew what they had to do and did it anyway. So we close with this prayer from the words of Polish brethren poet Hiram Moskorowski, and these words hang above the Raków City Hall as they welcomed our Unitarian pilgrimages this past May. By the graceful springs of the famous Raków and the dense groves that surround them will endow them with songs composed of rhymes. And I will glorify their name with verses to the brave youth of Poland. I will say here without boasting and with humility to include me among the poets of my love. We Unitarian Universalists are a living tradition. May we make the ideals of justice and equity and transformation and pluralism and interdependence and generosity with love at the center. May we make these words our actions, our lives. May we remember those who fought for this free faith, and may we hold them in our hearts and in our fists as we raise them up for justice. Amen and blessed be.
Three bells will mark the beginning of our meditation time, and we will end it by singing Spirit of Life. And the words will be projected above.
Good morning. I'm Diana Leslie. I would like to take a minute to tell you a little bit about myself. I am an example of a Santa Rosa, white, middle-class woman. I was born in Petaluma in 1950. We moved to Santa Rosa in 1955 when my father got a job at our local newspaper, the Press-Democrat. Both my parents were immigrants. My father was from New Zealand, and my mother was from British Columbia in Canada. One of the very first things that I was taught by my parents was to never tell anyone that they were immigrants and not actually citizens of the United States. It was the 1950s, and they were afraid of my father losing his job at his workplace. We moved to Santa Rosa, and I attended Proctor Terrace Elementary School, Santa Rosa Junior High, and graduated from Santa Rosa High School in 1968. Santa Rosa was extremely segregated in the 50s and 60s. I don't remember any in all those years of school of having any people of color in my various classrooms with me. Many people of color lived in the South Park area due to the redlining and lived just outside of the city limits. No one would rent to them. Later, I went to various colleges, taking classes about history, oppression of white women, people of color, and social justice issues. I eventually became a nurse and moved to Seattle to take a nursing job. It turned out that there was a white code that if you wanted a white, safe neighborhood with good schools, you moved to the north end of the city. Another example of systemic racism that I discovered. But still, I moved to the north end. Being a white nurse, I was offered 2 jobs in public health. In public health, 95% of the staff was white. When asked why there were no people of color as nurses, the administration claimed that people of color who were nurses did not want to work with them because of the pay. It was a little lower. This was a lie, another excuse, and an example of systemic racism. In addition, Seattle had 2 special branches of Children's Protective Services that targeted African American families, and another one that worked exclusively with the Native American unit. This caused fear and anxiety all the time, or very often in those communities. When I retired, I moved back to Santa Rosa to be closer to my family, which was over 3 years ago. I discovered UUCSR and was one of the founding members of the Dismantling White Supremacy Culture Committee. We did a number of successful educational programs the first year, but it also became clear that the white folks on the committee needed to do our own work on addressing how white supremacy shows up in ourselves. We noticed in our meetings that we were acting out white supremacy behavior with each other. White supremacy was showing up in our committee work. Some examples of this are, in case you don't know, perfectionism, defensiveness, paternalism, power hoarding, objectivity, right to comfort. These are just a few. Anyway, but we noticed in our meetings, too, that we needed to do, like I said, so much of our own personal work. And as part of DWSC, and with the support and encouragement of the people of color committee members, we decided to form a group, a white affinity group, where we, as the members of DWSC, could deepen our understanding and awareness of white supremacy. It's work that we hoped would be of benefit in our continued work on the committee and beyond. We were motivated by wanting to become better individuals, better allies to our people of color members, to our congregation, and our social justice community as a whole in Sonoma County. We chose a book called Me and White Supremacy: Combat Racism, Change the World, and Become a Better Ancestor by Layla Saeed as a guide in doing our work together. The book includes specific topics related to white supremacy and reflective questions for journal writing. We discuss the topics, share our responses to her questions, our thoughts, feelings, and what we're learning. Ms. Saeed points out that in our world, being white is seen as normal and non-white the other. So just think about that. She also says you need 3 things to do this work: your truth, your love, and your commitment. This work is hard, painful, at times, powerful, so valuable, and for me, it's felt very transformative. In conclusion, DWSC is considering starting up a few affinity groups next year. If you are interested in learning more, we have sign-up sheets at the Justice Council table where I will be standing. We hope that some of you will sign up and join us in this work. We will get back to you when we have more information. There's also today going to be a White Caucus meeting outside that Carol Kramer is going to be leading. Anyway, thank you. RE room. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Diana and to Jonathan for your powerful reflections of faith. This is the best of who we are as Unitarian Universalists and how our identities, how redlining plays into every city in this country, right? And so we're going to be moving on to our centering song, We Get There Together by Joshua Blaine. I had the honor of being in Minneapolis in January. There was a call for ministers from across the nation to go to Minneapolis after Renee Good was killed in the wake of Alex Preddy being killed by ICE agents. And so this song was what we 700 ministers were singing together in the streets of Minneapolis. Out of those 700 ministers, over 200 were Unitarian Universalists. Our yellow stoles showed up at every protest in negative 30-degree weather. We joined 75,000 Minnesotans. And so with that spirit, we'll sing We Get There Together by Jewish Voice for Peace activist Joshua Blaine. Thank you for leading us in this song.
So I'll sing a couple of lines and then you sing it back to me, and then we'll sing the whole thing together a couple of times and be done with it. Thanks. No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind. Now you. No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind. Give it a little scoop. No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together or never get there at all. No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together, left behind. All right, everybody. No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together or never get there at all. We get there together or never get there at all. We get there together or never get there at all. Again. No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind.
Not this time.
No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together or never get there at all. We get there together or never get there at all. We get there together or never get there at all. Once more. No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind.
Not this time.
No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together or never get there at all. We get there together or never get there at all. We get there together or never get there at all.
Amen. Amen, amen. Good morning, UU congregation of Santa Rosa. It is a joy and an honor to be here at this pulpit for my first time preaching at Santa Rosa. Thank you so much for having me. We've been planning this service for months. Thank you to Reverend Amy and Reverend Tovis, to Jonathan, to Sally, to the music people, to the tech team. I felt the warm welcome since the moment we started interacting, and it's been a joy to be working together. This morning, the words of the late Black civil rights icon, Congressman John Lewis, whisper in my ear. Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful. Be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. Our struggle is the struggle of a lifetime. Never be afraid to get in good trouble, says John Lewis. Necessary trouble. John Lewis's call to get in good trouble reminds me of the best that we can be as Unitarian Universalists as we struggle to bend the arc towards justice, dismantle white supremacy in all its terrible forms, and forge transformative solidarity with all oppressed people yearning to be free. Being a Unitarian Universalist means being part of something bigger than oneself. Something with a long-term vision for a world that does not yet exist. We are a living tradition, and that calls us to do the hard internal and external work to challenge oppression and white supremacy within, among, and beyond our church walls. We have the antidote to white supremacy right here in our Unitarian Universalist value of pluralism, which states we celebrate that all are sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology, and we covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. I'm curious to know how many folks here have heard about the new UUA program called Mosaic Congregations. Few folks in the room have heard about it. So Mosaic Congregations is a certification program similar to the LGBTQ Welcoming Congregation or the Green Sanctuary Program. And this Mosaic Congregations just came out this year and is a lifespan educational commitment to engaging in diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-oppression right when our communities need it most. The Mosaic Anti-Racism Lifespan Curriculum is in direct response to the 2017 UUA's Commission on Institutional Change, looking at every aspect of the UUA. How is our music anti-racist? How is our worship anti-racist? How is our board anti-racist? How is our social justice anti-racist? And so they've created this OWL lifespan curriculum. OWL is our whole lives, and it's a comprehensive sexuality curriculum. We now have a comprehensive anti-racism curriculum for elementary school kids, middle school kids, high school kids, people of color, white folks, older adults. There's something in Mosaic for all of us, and I hope that you all can get into it. I'll add something to your church newsletter that has links about the Mosaic Lifespan Curriculum so you all can get engaged. In particular, as preparing for this sermon, I've been thinking a lot about queer Black scholar Adrienne Maree Brown. Adrienne Maree Brown wrote a book called Emergent Strategy, and it's one of the most amazing organizing books. In her book, Emergent Strategy, Adrienne says, what we practice at the small scale sets the patterns for the whole system. What we practice at the small scale sets the patterns for the whole system. So if we can't unpack white supremacy culture right here in our own UU churches, in our own worship and governance, how can we hope to bring down a fascist white supremacy government in the highest levels of this country right now? Emergent strategist activist Adrienne Ree Brown said, "There is a conversation in the room that only these people can have at this time. Find it." What is that conversation in the room that only people of color UUs can have and white allies UUs can have? According to the UUA Guide to Race-Based Affinity Groups, the purpose of gathering in racial affinity groups is to create safe and brave space where people can express their fears, express their pain and their hopes without bystanders, so that when we re-enter mixed identity spaces, it's with greater self-awareness, less self-judgment, and stronger confidence. The intent of forming race-based affinity groups is to deepen and broaden the perspectives of participants to produce new ways of thinking, new ways of doing, new ways of being, because a different type of group can create a different kind of conversational outcome. For all of these reasons and more, we hope you will join us today after this service for the BIPOC Caucus, Black, Indigenous, People of Color Caucus. We'll be meeting in the boardroom, and white allies will be meeting in classroom 3. So if you identify as a Black, Indigenous person of color, please join us in the boardroom. And if you identify as an anti-racist white ally, please join folks in classroom 3. DRUUMM's roots, as I said earlier, run deep. DRUUMM is diverse, revolutionary UU multicultural ministries, and it was started in 1997 in California, right here in Los Gatos, south of San Jose, where the leaders of the African American UU multicultural ministries and Latino-Latina Networking Association, AUUM and LUNA, came together in 1997 as Black UU ministers and Latinx UU ministers that needed a way to be together, that needed a way to build community, and they met forging deeper relationships, eventually from ministers it opened up to religious professionals, and now DRUUMM has over 1,000 members across the US and is the official and largest people of color Unitarian Universalist organization. I became active with DRUUMM youth and young adults of color in the early 2000s when I was in college. At the time, First Unitarian Church of San Diego had over 800 members, was in the heart of LGBT Hillcrest in San Diego, and had a monthly people of color group that kept me coming. Right from those ethnic studies, college classes, I realized after I graduated from college, it was in UU anti-racist spaces where I could still be a person of color meeting other people of color. Once I graduated from college and ethnic studies, it was hard to find these spaces where white folks are willing to be anti-racist and say so, and people of color are willing to come together across Black, Asian, Latinx, Indigenous. There's a lot of work that it takes to even identify as a person of color. And so what does it mean as Unitarian Universalists to be deeply engaged in this struggle? As I said earlier, we're coming onto the UUA General Assembly. Every year, there's a virtual General Assembly, which is this year. Next year, General Assembly is going to be back in California. It has not been in California since Long Beach in 2024. So it's been a good chunk of time. June 2027, San Jose, California, there's going to be thousands of Unitarian Universalists from all over the country and the world in San Jose, California. So to prep for that, this year we're having a BIPOC statewide caucus held at the Mount Diablo UU Church in Walnut Creek. Simultaneously, our people of color from Southern California are going to be meeting at First UU Los Angeles. And so we're going to have the first ever California statewide BIPOC UU caucus. That's this Saturday, 3 to 5, June 20th. Now, will you take a moment to dream with me, UU congregation of Santa Rosa? What does collective liberation look like right here at the UU congregation of Santa Rosa? Imagining together what flourishing could be with our 1,000 congregations across the UUA as the go-to anti-racist, anti-fascist, multicultural, multi-religious justice communities that actually look like and reflect the diversity of California. What could collective liberation look like? What could it feel like? What would it taste like, sound like? What would it protest like? What would it dance like? What would it organize like? What could our love look like if we allowed our Unitarian Universalist values to transform us from the inside out, to transform our relationships? Aboriginal activist Lila Watson says, if you have come here to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come because you know that your liberation is bound up with my liberation, then, my friends, let us work together. Collective liberation is the core of who we are as Unitarian Universalists, and we are no stranger to the struggle in the face of authoritarianism. We've been resisting from 16th century Poland in the struggle for religious freedom. We've been resisting from the women's suffrage in Seneca Falls to the civil rights movement, locking arms in Selma, Alabama, as we mourned with the nation the death of white Unitarian minister Reverend James Reeb from All Souls, D.C., and white UU leader Viola Luiso from Detroit, and black civil rights activist Jimmy Lee Jackson from Alabama, whose deaths galvanized the nation into passing the Voting Rights Act in 1965. We've been there time and time again. From marriage equality to organizing for a free Palestine to abolishing ICE and its racist concentration camps, we Unitarian Universalists have always been courageous and brave and lit that chalice when it felt impossible, when it felt hard, when we could have been burned at the stake for doing so. In closing, I want to leave you with words from our president, Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, who says, times like these are where faith communities find their purpose. Times like these are where faith communities find their purpose. We are the inheritors of a liberal and liberating faith rooted in the highest values of love and justice and pluralism. May we each find our purpose in the revolution that is already here. May we be a living tradition ready to serve all the people, every last one, ready to build the world, the new world, out of the ashes of the old. Collective liberation for all, nothing more, nothing less. Amen. Ashe. Kapalaran ke asi seya. Blessed be.
And please stand if you are as you're able, and Sally will lead us in our last song today, Lead with Love, which I think we all know.
We all know this one. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Gotta go lower. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. Out of my range. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. And I'm scared too. But here I am. But here I am. Right next to you. Right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. One more time. And lead with love. Woo!
And we close with words from orphan-born Black poet Dr. Jaya John. Maybe you feel the revolution doesn't need you. Come, bring everything. Bring the ocean, bring the sky, bring the stars of all the galaxies. Bring the very sediment of your soul. Freedom needs you. Freedom is not yet free. Go forth to love and bring more justice into this world until we meet again.